Imagine a construction site where a worker's hard hat doesn't just protect them from falling stuff, but it actually detects a fall and automatically calls for help. Or picture a factory where an employee's vest is monitoring their vitals and can alert a supervisor to heat stroke before it even happens. Well, this isn't science fiction anymore. This is a revolution that's happening right now in workplace safety, and it's all powered by smart, wearable gear.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The reason this whole revolution is so critical comes down to numbers, just like this one. Over 700,000. That's the number of non-fatal injuries that happen in warehousing, manufacturing, and construction in just a single year. To put that into perspective, that's nearly 2,000 injuries every single day. It's a constant, painful reminder of the risks people are taking just to do their jobs.
And that staggering human cost is exactly why so many experts are basically saying this. The days of just handing a worker a standard hard hat and some gloves, well, they're over. In today's really complex and hazardous work environments, that old-school passive approach to safety, it just doesn't cut it anymore. We need something smarter. To really understand why this shift is so important, we have to take a closer look at the scale of the problem. So let's dive into the reality of today's dangerous workplaces and the very real human cost of modern industry.
This chart, wow, it highlights a really alarming trend. Between 2016 and 2020, the construction industry alone was responsible for 21% of all worker fatalities in the US. Think about that. That means more than 1 out of every 5 people who died on the job was a construction worker. It's just a stark figure that really underscores how urgently we need a better way to protect these folks.
So if the old way isn't working, what's the alternative? Well, that's what we're going to explore now. We're looking at how safety gear is getting a serious upgrade. We're seeing protection finally get proactive, evolving from just being a passive shield into a truly intelligent system.
This comparison right here, it just perfectly captures the huge shift in thinking. On one side, you've got traditional PPE. It's basically a shield. Its only job is to reduce harm during or after something bad already happens. But on the other side, you've got smart PPE, and that's a sensor. Its whole purpose is to detect hazards, predict risks, and stop the incident from ever happening in the first place. It's the difference between reacting to a fall and preventing it altogether.
So what exactly is smart PPE? Well, think of it like standard safety gear, but with a brain. It's packed with these tiny IoT sensors and wireless connectivity. This tech lets it act like a personal guardian, actively monitoring not just the worker themselves, but also their immediate environment and even the condition of their equipment, all of it in real time.
All right, now that we kind of get the concept, let's look at the actual amazing devices that are already out there being used on job sites all over the world. It's time to open up the new high-tech toolbox.
And we're not just talking about one single gadget here. We're talking about a whole new kit of high-tech gear. It really covers workers from head to toe. You've got smart helmets that can detect concussions, powered footwear that can call for help, AR glasses that can overlay safety data right onto our workers' vision, and even exoskeletons that help people lift heavy loads without getting hurt.
Let's take smart helmets, for example. They're not just about protecting your head anymore. These things are loaded with sensors that can do everything from sniffing out dangerous gases like carbon monoxide to detecting if you've fallen. Some even have a scannable chip that gives first responders instant access to your vital medical info in an emergency. It's incredible.
And it's not just helmets. Even the good old work boot is getting a high-tech makeover. We're talking about boots that can sense when a worker has fallen and then automatically send an alert with their exact location. And get this, some of them can even generate their own power just from the motion of walking, so you never even have to plug them in to charge.
But it's not just the workers who are getting smarter. The entire worksite is basically becoming a living, breathing safety net. AI-powered cameras are now acting like digital watchdogs, constantly scanning the site for potential hazards like fall risks, checking that everyone's wearing the proper gear, and making sure that safety protocols are being followed everywhere.
Now, all of this sounds amazing, right? But like with any brand new technology, there's always a gap between the promise and the reality on the ground. So what are the real-world hurdles to getting this tech onto every single job site? That brings us to this crucial balancing act, promise versus practicality.
Okay, first, the promise. And the potential benefits here are just enormous. Of course, the main goal is saving lives and preventing injuries. But this tech can also lead to way faster emergency response times, and it can even prevent issues like overexertion by keeping an eye on worker fatigue. Plus, just knowing you have this extra layer of protection, that can do wonders for workers' morale and confidence on a dangerous job.
And listen, it's not just about safety. It's also about the bottom line.
This case study on AI-powered systems found a benefit-to-cost ratio of 4.65. So, in plain English, that means for every single dollar a company invested in this tech, they got back almost $5 in savings from fewer accidents and better efficiency. That is a return on investment that's pretty hard to ignore. But it's not all that simple. There are some serious hurdles to get over. The high upfront costs can be a huge roadblock, especially for smaller companies. Then you have the whole big brother factor. The very real concern from workers about how their personal health and location data is going to be used. And on top of all that, you've got practical tech issues, like making sure batteries last a full shift and just keeping a stable connection on a giant signal-blocking job site.
So, with all these incredible promises and these very real challenges, where does that leave us? What does the future of workplace safety actually look like? Let's take a peek at what's coming next for this technology.
This timeline really shows you just how quickly this tech is catching on. Just a few years ago, back in 2018, it was a super niche product used by only 6% of contractors. By 2021, that number was projected to almost quadruple. But here's the most telling figure. 83% of contractors now believe wearables will improve job site safety. That widespread belief is what's paving the way for this tech to become the new industry standard.
And all of this brings us to the central question right at the heart of this whole technological revolution. As these devices become more and more common, the conversation is shifting. We know they can make work safer, but they do it by collecting massive amounts of data. And that leaves the entire industry grappling with a really tough question. Is total safety worth total surveillance? Finding the right balance there, well, that's going to be the critical challenge as we build the future of work.